Hey everyone, welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Popple, along with my partner and co-host, William McClellan. How you doing today, Will?
Good, man. Good. What's happening?
Oh man, we had a great morning of real estate and get to finish out the day with a great guest. Today we're bringing on Brett Henry. He's someone I met originally through Clean Eats in the fitness world. He's a real estate investor and entrepreneur who's building his portfolio the smart way through undervalued deals and creative financing. At just 31 years old, Brett already owns 12 rental properties and is rapidly scaling with his sights set on new construction as his next phase of growth. But what makes Brett stand out isn't just the deals, it's the discipline behind them. As a competitive CrossFit athlete and a man grounded in his Christian faith, Brett brings a level of focus, consistency, and long-term vision that's driving both his business and his life forward. If you want to learn how to grow strategically without over-leveraging, this episode is for you. Let's dive in. Welcome to the show, Brett Henry.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Thanks for having me on.
Great to see you, man.
What's up? Thanks for being on. Super excited. So let's dive in, man. Welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about who Brett is, where you're from, what you do. What's Brett making happen? Obviously, the intro is awesome, so we got to fine tune all the details.
Yeah, you guys really made me sound good, so I appreciate that. So right here in the Panhandle of Florida, real small town called Marianna, one of the forgotten towns, like a friend of mine likes to call it. Just a regular guy. Like one of my friends says, I'm just a guy. Grew up playing baseball, going to church with my friends, just a regular dude. Went to college for a little while, then got out because I realized college wasn't really my thing. I wasn't going towards a professional career, at least I thought. And worked with the family business for years, got involved with doing CrossFit. And I realized when I started doing CrossFit, I was like, man, this is really going to help change some lives because there's nothing really like that here in my town. So started doing that, started working at a place. I found a gym actually in town. Started working there for free on Saturdays, coaching a class or two at a time. After a while, became the head coach within like a few months.
Nice.
After that, there's a long story about the gym shutting down, changing ownership. Things weren't really being ran the way I thought it should be ran for the clients. I think it was owned by the hospital, so things became just a number. People were just a number instead of how can we best serve this person coming in. So from there, I ended up starting my own business across town and starting my own CrossFit gym so I could help people in the way that I felt they needed to be helped and the way they wanted help.
Yeah.
So that process there, I was leasing a building. Shortly after that, I was able to buy a building. So
Nice.
Kind of in that process, I met a lot of people along the way through this CrossFit journey. And it's been a lot of years of learning. Was in my early 20s to now being about 30.
Just to help all the viewers, what year was the gym acquisition when you started your own gym?
2022. So
Okay.
This year, the Murph on Memorial Day will be the 4-year anniversary. So we're starting.
Awesome, dude.
I love that it falls on the Murph.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was a pretty cool thing. I was like, hey, we got this new gym. We're coming over here. If you want to come, we're going to do the Murph in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Everyone's welcome to come. So it's pretty cool that it goes on the Murph.
Yeah, you just reminded me that I've been slacking. I got to get on my Murph.
Yeah.
But hey, that's
gotta
awesome.
Come join us.
Yeah, dude, we got to get out there. So you have commercial space, and then you've quickly built a portfolio. You've got 12 rentals. You're scaling. You're getting private money. Tell us a little bit about how that happened.
Yeah, how'd you get started?
Yeah, so a friend of mine gave me a book by Robert Kiyosaki. Most people probably watching the show will know Rich Dad Poor Dad. Put it on an audio book. That way I could read it faster while I was working. I could listen to it. I probably read it 3 or 4 times because it was just phenomenal. And it changed the way I saw everything. And I was reading books, learning real estate, trying to learn as much as I could because I knew nothing about it. But I knew it was the best way to go here going forward. And then I had a real good friend of mine, good friend / mentor / client. He was like, dude, quit freaking reading and go do something. And he was like, just go buy a freaking house. So he said, I want you to go see 3 houses by the end of the month. I think by the 3rd one, I already bought one. And that was about 2 years ago, just about 2 years ago. I went and got my first one. And from there, I was just getting 1 or 2 at a time. Every couple months, a good deal would pop up, or someone I knew, had relations somewhere, and I was able to jump on a good deal.
Now, and these all in Marianna, or
all in
Marianna. Are these single families, trailers? What are you buying? And tell us some price points, because one of the reasons I wanted to invite you on the show was because I wanted to show people that even in a small town like Marianna, you can start your investing journey. And so I thought it was so cool how many rentals you stacked.
And what are you talking about? And scaling. You bought his first house 2 years ago, and now he's got 12. I mean, that's insane.
That's a
awesome.
lot in a short period of time. So yeah, tell us what these look like, what they are, how much they cost, and what you're renting them for.
Yeah, so undervalued. Some of them just happen to be good deals, right place, right time, where people look at it and may have not seen the vision. And that's sometimes you have a real good advantage. If it's dirty or ugly looking and you can see the good bones, sometimes you can make a good deal and make it work. And
what's that what'd that first deal look like?
So this old guy, he had 2 houses for sale, and he was just tired of being a landlord, and he wanted to sell them. So he didn't even know what they were worth. He's been so long out of the game. So one was for sale for, I think, $115. The other one was sell for $85. And so looking at him, I was like, there's no way this price is going to work. I think it's worth a lot less, but because it needed a lot of work. So I talked to my realtor and I said, hey, what do you think about this? And he said, yeah, we can probably come down the price. Long story short, he ended up coming down to $65,000 on the first house, because he was kind of ready to get rid of it, but he knew it needed a lot of work and there were some problems. So got that one for 65. The other house, he wasn't quite as willing to deal down on the price, but it was in horrible shape. So like my friend says, we play to win, but buying isn't winning. We got to buy it on sale, not for sale price. And so his price was a for sale price. So I let it go. And then he put it back on the market. He was mad at the price that I gave him. And it was like $40,000 to $45,000. And I told him because all the problems with it. So long story short, put it on the market, didn't do anything. He dropped the price $15,000, pretty close to my asking price. So I told the realtor, I said, send him a message. If he's ready to get rid of this thing today, I got $35,000 in cash. Let's just get this thing done. And that was it. It was done. So, for about half the asking price, I acquired these 2, and these were my first 2 deals.
That's awesome.
What's the time listening that offer the price that works for you and hold that number?
Oh my gosh. Sam and I just had a conversation last week, and it's like,
there's
good deals we had, and we're just like, we were working with a realtor and we're like, hey, this is what we want to offer. And they're like, oh, well, they countered at this. And I was like, I'm telling you, this is the offer we got to make, because this is how the numbers are working. They're like, oh, you guys are so close. And I was like, I know, but that closeness is what's going to cover the utility costs and the utility hookups and everything, and the additional permitting costs, like those extra little things that there's $1,000 here, $2,000 here, $3,600 here. Next thing you know, it's $10,000 just to prep a lot. And so when you're close but not there, you'll be surprised, because we ended up closing that deal. We just had to wait about 30 days. So
yeah, and there's been a number of them, but I love hearing a story where, like I said, that people go that. But so you close those 2 deals. Let's keep going.
What was the timeline between those again?
Maybe 2 months at the most.
I love it. From your first house to buying another house in 2 months.
Yes. So
so sick. Awesome.
That was some pretty good deals. And they have really good cash flow. They talk about in real estate the 1% rule, and that's just real tight. So I really try and keep it closer to 2%. Because
I love it. So let's pause for the listeners. Tell us the difference between a 1% rule and a 2% rule. And then Sam loves to explain this. So I'm going to let Sam, once you get done, hype it up on why the 2% rule is crushing the 1% rule.
So the 1% rule is renting it out for 1% of the cost of the house. This includes not only what you bought it for, but anything that you have to, any money you put into it to fix it up and get it rentable. So your all-in cost, 1% of that price. Let's say if it was a $100,000 house, you rent it for $1,000. So that's the 1% rule. And so the 2% rule is if you bought it for $50,000 and all in, including any repairs or fixing up or anything, and then renting it for $1,000. So basically, you're doubling. You're adding $500 at this point, or you're increasing. You're doubling your money at this point on that deal. So
now I like the part of doubling the money, and let's use the $50,000 because it's super easy math. $50,000.
Let's call it 100, just so it's easy, real round.
Okay, even easier. So Sam, go in, because we love talking about the 1%, 2% rule, especially on a refi and pulling things out. But this is actually, I want to say this might be the first time we're actually coming up and talking about it. So I'm pretty jazzed. So tell us why the 1% rule is good, Sam, but why the 2% rule is way better.
Yeah, so I love looking at the 1% rule pretty much on all real estate. And one of the things that I've noticed in my investor journey is the higher quality of the real estate, the less likely you're going to be able to get a 1% rule, because it performs at a lower cap rate, but it's a more secure appreciating asset. The less appreciation you see in the market, usually the higher rent you can charge as far as return on rule works. So the worse you'll see a higher percentage. And like in certain markets, especially in either small towns, inner cities, or almost the whole entire state of Mississippi, you'll see a 2% rule a lot more prevalent. So the 2% rule, doing the same thing, you're getting 24% a year. It's the way I like to look at that is over a 4-year period, that's 96% return back on your money. And so you're pretty much getting your money back every 4 years on a 2% rule.
And where he's getting that is it's 2% at $100,000, so that's $24,000 annually, right?
Yeah, 24,000 a year, 24,000 times 4, you got 96 grand. We're $4,000 short of being whole. So
right, and then like a true slam dunk deal is getting your return back in 5 years. Now you're doing it in 4 essentially. So I'm so glad that you mentioned specifically the 1% versus the 2%.
Yeah. No, and like I said, I think that's great because in a pocket of real estate in the Panhandle like Marianna, it's a smaller town, so you have to do something that makes those numbers work. You're not going to see quite as much appreciation, but you're still in the great state of Florida, so you're eventually going to get that trickle up appreciation that the entire state pools. So no, dude, I love that you're pushing and you're getting those numbers. 2% rule on cash flow is great. And like the only caveat I would add in there is like once you kind of got some of those things like fully paid off and you're having that return in, that's when a lot of people like to balance out their portfolio with some higher end real estate so they can get the appreciation play combined with the lower 2% that's cash flowing like a king. But
I'm pumped for this next part because I was so curious and I was already asked some questions in the background beforehand, and then I said, okay, I got to stop myself. So you're working your way up. You go 2 deals in 2 months, or 2 or 3 months, and then now you're at 12. So to do that, there's a massive scalability. And what you were mentioning is the way you were doing creative financing and raising capital. So I want to just let you take the floor and hit the ground running and tell us all the way through from deals 3 through 12, what those kind of looked like and how the creative side and the creative financing side has helped you scale and what the listeners could do to kind of get in on that.
Yeah. So I'll start by saying most people think opportunity chases money, but it's the opposite. Money is very quickly always chasing opportunity to grow. And that's the way it really works. So you'll never have an opportunity and money is not there to grasp a hold of it. And so you'll hear a lot of people say, well, you have to have money to make money. And that's one of my dad's famous sayings. And, that can be true, but in the ultimate sense in real estate, we know we don't have to have our own money to make it happen. And that's where you hear stuff like creative finance, where you can have zero invested in the deal. So you're making an infinite return on your money. So one way I made this work was with 2 deals that ended up coming up. There was a house a woman had bought, was undervalued. It needed a little bit of work, but I bought it for, $60,000. It's a $100,000 house. Bought it for $60,000. We did some work on it, put some new siding, everything else. And I bought it through a line of credit. Another thing I like to emphasize is dig your well before you're thirsty. I heard that from a guy named Scott Carpenter, very brilliant man. Dig your well before you're thirsty. So I had my line of credit ready when deal came up. Instead of having to get cash or find the cash or wait for a loan, we jumped on it pretty quickly.
How'd you find this line of credit, and how'd you build a line of credit?
So because my first couple deals, I had actually saved money to buy. I didn't know I was saving for real estate, but I was just pinching all the money I had and saving it. And you can start saving money, but to grow, you actually have to invest. And we'll talk about that later, but you have to invest, and you can't save forever. You have to invest. But so anyways, I had some built-in equity because I bought these undervalued, fixed them up, sold them. I'm not sold them, but rented them out. So it really increased the value of the property. So when I wanted to get a line of credit, I could use, when I got the appraisal for the line of credit, to say, well, the value of this house is X amount. Now, before I bought it, it was probably less, but after buying it and fixing it up, I had a lot of forced equity there where I was able to get more money out of these properties to buy the next deal. So
I want to make sure these are home equity lines of credit, not personal lines of credit or lines of credit through credit cards. Because if you type in how to get a line of credit on YouTube, let's say, a lot of people start there. And next thing you know, you're getting like 50,000 ways, credit cards being one, which I think are kind of scary to over leverage on. And then you have personal lines, which are super high interest, and then that's tied directly. What I wanted to get to the listeners there is like, you're smartly investing into these homes where you're forcing equity in. You're getting value add properties, you're renting them. And now the bank views this as like a very steady, this is going to be a cash flow positive. And also you're buying them at a lower rate and you're improving them into a point where people want to rent them. So what that does is it gives you this home equity line of credit, but on multiple rentals. Now you're cooking. So now we're in deal 3. Okay.
Yeah. So now that wheels start to turn a little bit. So I buy this home. It's, like I said, undervalued. And you have to buy undervalued. You really have to buy undervalued. Otherwise, you have to jack the rent way up. And I want this housing to be competitive in the market. I don't want to jack the price of rent up because I want people to be able to live there. So you have to make good deals because the person renting from you benefits the most. So having that in mind for the person renting it, I can't just put the price I want on there. I got to make it rentable. So I can't just go spend a bunch of money. So anyways, bought the rental. So I used up part of this line of credit throughout the year. So I didn't have it fixed up immediately, but I let the lady stay there for 2 months because she had bought the house, had to turn around and resell it. So quick turnaround. She bought it, resold it what she bought it for. She had to move. So I ended up acquiring this thing from her. But with this line of credit, it allowed me to get my next deal that had 3 properties on it. It was a duplex in a small block home. But the way it was listed on MLS, which all these deals so far have been on the MLS, surprisingly. But it was listed as a single family home that could be turned to a duplex. But if you go out there and look, the way it read, there's actually 3 rentable units on the property. But it was listed as if maybe only 1 was rentable, possibly 2. So most people didn't really see it.
I don't want to interrupt you, but something that like we don't ever hear. You're saying you found these deals all on MLS.
Every one of them so far.
All 12. We're not just talking up to this point.
Most of these deals have been on MLS. Yeah, which is unheard of.
Yeah,
It's unheard of. How are you doing that?
I think it might be market specific. That's my guess, but you tell me, Brett, if I'm wrong.
Okay.
Is Mariana? Do you have a lot of competition, or?
Yeah, there's a ton of competition.
Okay, cool. Okay,
There's a ton of competition.
that's really cool then.
And some people don't want to deal with the problems that I'm going to have to deal with, and so that's one thing to keep in mind. So if you're listening to this and you're like, okay, this house is a really, really good deal, and it's on the market for more than a week, chances are the big investors are like, no, it's not worth my time. They're on another level. They don't want to deal with this. So keep in mind, if a house is on the market for more than like a day or two, it's probably not the best deal. Or maybe there's more there that people don't want to deal with. So that's always something to keep in mind. But in any case, like this situation, no one wanted to deal with this possibility of a duplex. There's a couple things that were kind of weird about it, the way the water and electrical work. It being different kind of deterred people from investing. So the price came down slowly. And then finally, I went ahead and made a deal on it. And I used my line of credit for the down payment and then did a loan. So technically, I've got no money invested of my personal money into this deal.
Awesome.
When it refinances, go ahead.
No, you're probably about to answer my question. Sorry.
I was going to say, if and when I refinance this deal, it's going to be worth way more than what I've paid for it. So the original house that I bought, when I refinance that into a loan, not only is it going to bring my money out of that property, pay that loan, that line of credit down, that down payment also will be taken care of all at one time. So
yeah, no, that's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, so for some listeners who might be confused on how not to over leverage, how are you doing it? But boom, he gave you the secret sauce right there.
What are your key criteria before pulling the trigger on any rental property?
How large is my gap for profit? What's the margin? So kind of like that 1%, 2% rule thing. It keeps it pretty simple, but if my all-in cost, when I purchase it, if I can rent it for 2% of what the true value is, then I can really get away with it. Or 1% of the true value, but I only have half the money invested. If that makes sense to the listeners, it's probably a lot of math, but that's pretty much it. Is it more than just affordable? So you said earlier, cash flow is king. It really is. So everything I'm trying to do right now, does this add to my cash flow, or does this another burden? So it's got to be out of cash flow.
Right. What do you think on your the first deal? When did your first or what deal was it that you had your first owner financing or some kind of creative financing strategy come into play?
So the first deal the first deal we did interest. So at the end of 5 years, I'm not having really to pay anything, but at the end of 5 years, I'm going to pay the $60,000 plus the interest at the end. That's not a typical deal. That's not normal at all. It's just someone I know.
Wow. So the very first deal, you got a complete seller carry full balloon.
Yeah,
that's
not typical.
That's crazy. You're gonna have to explain slowly to everyone. So we talked about the first deal. We didn't get into the specifics of the first deal. So for you guys right now, I actually don't even know, but what that means is a balloon is that the owner has the property paid off, and you're going to be making a certain amount of agreed upon term payments, and then you have a lump sum at the end. So Go ahead, Brett. And
let me break it down just a little bit. Let me break that down just a little bit further, Will. So
it was super high level. I was trying to get it back to
because I don't want Grace and a lot of people not understanding how this, because a lot of times the way these loans work too is they'll be on an amortization schedule that is like a 15, 20, or 30 year. Most owner finance deals you'll see amortized at a 20 or 30 year amortization schedule, meaning they would divide it like it's going to be paid off over this time. But instead of you having a full 20 or 30 years, if let's just say it's a 5-year balloon, at the end of year 5, the complete balance is due. Now, I'm going to let Brett explain his deal in particular, because if I'm understanding it right, most people have to pay interest only or make a payment every month for that 5 years, and then the big ones do. But if I'm understanding what Brett's saying correctly, he basically got the property with no money out of pocket, and then you just owe it. You did a contract saying you're going to hold the property for this period of time, and then in 5 years, you owe the full balance with all the interest all at one time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Wow.
That's not typical.
Yeah, definitely not typical, because in my whole history of real estate, I've never seen a deal like that.
Yeah, which is the crazy thing.
I love seeing something I've never seen. So
we'll be in this thing for how many years? Every day we're finding a new deal, a new type of deal that we've never heard or seen of, stuff we never thought of before. So in this case, it just has to be old dude that I know from church, and there's a lot of trust involved there, and you just got to ask.
Yeah.
So
Will.
So how'd you ask?
Right now is that Will? We need to ask more stuff, because we're not.
I'm literally
enough.
Yeah, I'm literally my mind's blown. So how'd you ask? How'd you structure a deal? How'd you get to the closing table with those terms? I'm loving it.
So when you start out, there's a guy, call him the old man at church, but basically, I've had this relationship formed for years because I've been going to church forever. And we talked about getting into the real estate business because I wanted to build a building for my gym. And so he was telling me, he's like, you really need to get into real estate. And he was telling me all the stuff that he was doing. And I told him I'm reading books, trying to learn. And we got a deal coming up. Hopefully that I'm going to try and land my first deal. And it was not this deal, it was something else. So eventually I was able to sit down and say, hey, when this comes up, he said he'd help me however. So some people just say that, and some people are serious about it. So I said, hey, I've got this deal coming up. Would you be interested in this here and talking about it? So he said, yeah, sure. So we talked about it, and he said, all right, this will be, 5 years. In the 5 years, balloon payment, and then the interest at the end. So that's not typical. That's probably a 0% chance of seeing that in the market, but it's 0% until you ask.
But man,
I definitely like the 0% because that is awesome. But now it's in any listener's mind now. I love it. It's in my mind. I'm like,
and look, Will, this is one of those reminders I think we need sometimes where, someone said it to me before. It might've been Brett, but you never assume someone else is going to think like you.
Never assume. That's rule number 272. Never assume.
272 right there.
Yeah, there's a bunch of rules, but 272 is never assume.
Yeah,
wow.
never assume, because someone else might be completely happy with something that you would not be happy with. So
that's crazy. I don't know, man. I love it. So with other creative financing deals, what's outside of that one, what's your next favorite term base on the deal that you put under contract and now own?
Yeah. So one that a friend taught me, another old man. I hang around a bunch of old dudes, but this dude has forgotten more information and wisdom than I could probably grasp by the time I'm an old man. He's done it all, seen it all. He's a smart guy, and probably doesn't even have time to even talk to me. But he's taken the time to mentor me in some ways. And so one of the deals that I like is doing owner finance, interest only, for 60 months. And you can do that with 10% down, 20% down, or nothing down. It really just depends on who you're talking to. It just, when you fill them out, you probably know which way to go. But let's just say 10% down. So got a house coming up that's $100,000. I'm going to go and write down a $10,000 check. After talking to them, they feel comfortable with me. I feel comfortable with them. I'm going to fill out this check to them, sign and everything, $10,000 envelope, and I hand it to them. And And I tell them, hey, I want to work out this deal with you. I trust you and I want you to trust me. So I'm going to take the first step in saying, I trust you. Here's 10%, and I'm giving this check to you. If you want to proceed, you can cash the check, take it straight to the bank, and it will cash, immediately. If you don't want to proceed, you can tear the thing up, throw it in the trash. And so that really catches people kind of off guard. That's not normal. Because I had a lady tell me one time, she's like, you can't do that. I said, says who? Where's the law that says I cannot do this? But going from there, the structure of the deal, I'm going to write out 12 checks, put them in an envelope, and then say, hey, I'm giving you a check for every month of the year. As soon as top of the month comes around, you just drop that thing into the bucket. And that's it. And every year we'll do this for the next 5 years. At the end of 5 years, if you want to extend, I said, which you probably will, because you're making better money than the bank will give you, better money, more secure than stock market. If stocks drop 20%, then you've lost that money. So this is probably one of the best deals you can get. So going from there, you can extend if you want to, or we can do a balloon payment right there and be done. The option is up to you at this point.
I want to make sure that anyone listening kind of understands like how you can utilize a deal like this, because if you can get someone to agree to an interest only payment, this really is a win-win for both you as the investor and the person selling the home if they have the ability to wait for the lump sum payment. And just keep in mind that the person who's able to sell a home in this way usually has it paid off, and they're usually set up well enough in life where they're not counting on, they don't need that whole amount of money right now, but they want to get, some cash flow. And so the beauty of this is that if you can control it by making only interest only payments for a 5-year period, generally with only interest only going out to hold the property down, you got some great cash flow coming in because it's a very low monthly payment to have full control of the property. 5 years in Florida is a pretty long time to see some good appreciation. So typically in that period, you'd probably see enough appreciation that would be able to, go to the bank, get a loan, being able to show your last 5 years of performance, no problem, and then pay them off, in full at the end of 5 years. But again, if you can delay that for another 5, in 10 years, the property probably doubled in value, and you can go pay them off no problem in 10 years.
So how are you finding these deals? You said they're all on the MLS, but how are you finding deals that are already 100% free and clear?
It's very hard to find, and get used to being told no. That's the word I hear the most. No.
How many no's for every yes did you get? Let's let the listeners hear that
one. So many no's that I don't remember how many. It's the stack is pretty high compared to the yeses, because people don't know owner finance. Realtors don't really know owner finance. Most of them, they don't know how to structure them, and they think it's more complicated than what it is. So chances are, if you're working with a realtor and they don't understand owner finance as much as you are, find a new realtor. I went through 3 realtors before I found the one I wanted to work with. And the first 3, I was as new as they were, and they were realtors. So I'd ask them a question. Hey, in this situation, they're like, well, you can rent this for this price. You can buy this. And they're just saying whatever a book would say. It's probably not good advice.
Right.
But they're trying to sell something.
Really got to weed out those realtors, because once you become an investor, it's not very long in your investing career before you've closed more deals that you personally bought more than a realtor has represented.
Yeah. And they just don't know. And they're not bad people. They just don't know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And you understand it after you close the 12 deals, you understand it a whole lot better than the realtor who sold 12 houses, because it was your money on the line.
Yeah. So having to be invested, you're forced to know more. You're forced to know more about it. So the first couple of realtors, I would ask them, like, what would they do? What have they done in this situation? Because they give me advice. It's like, what'd you do for yours? Oh, well, I haven't got my first rental yet. I was like, well, that advice is probably not valid. And for real, it was not. And, this is the way it is. So ended up working with a realtor who had like 10 rental properties. This dude knows what he's doing. He's been around the block, and he was straight as an arrow. So he was like, hey, I'll give you some pointers, kind of steer in the right way, make sure that, basically guided me a little bit. So that's really key, is to have someone in the corner, which is also hard to find. And was really blessed to have that in my corner early on.
Yeah, no, that's definitely important. Now, I know you're trying to your transition. Okay,
before you go next, you're just asking all of these people if the house is paid off. Are you using any type of lead generation that's helping you know if mortgages are completed? Or I'm sorry, I've got a lot of questions because I'm still mind blown. One, that you did a creative finance deal on the MLS, and then two, you did it another 11 times. It's like blowing my mind that you're able to find these and that they're sitting properties that are listed. And like, what are the average time frames that these are like online? Do you have a certain, like, if it's been on there for 150 days or? Yeah, I'm just so curious on this whole strategy because it's awesome, but I just don't even know. Like, I'm okay with, I get no's all the time. So if it's no, I'm okay with that. I just need to know what direction to go.
I just want to know how many no's I got to ask you yet. So I got to get told no.
It's probably like 75 no's. So,
okay.
So one of my first, my mentor friend, that he kind of chuckles about it, but there was a house listed for sale in the MLS, real good into town. I had no business trying to buy this thing, but I was like, you know what? If I can talk to him, get a good deal, and have an owner finance it, I can make some money on this house.
Sure.
So,
but how are you knowing if it's able to be owner financed?
Who knows? I mean, there is ways. Obviously, you can look up the county records. Everything's public, so you can look up and see if they have a mortgage.
Right.
So that information is public. There's also Crexi, and I just learned about Crexi is a commercial real estate listing site that can actually go into some single family home stuff, and they'll have mortgage information for you there. I just learned about this 2 weeks ago, but at this point, I had no knowledge. I just
you're just shooting your shot.
Literally, I'm talking about shooting a full court shot from nowhere.
Awesome.
So I just walked up to this old dude's house and asked him. I said, "Hey, I saw your house for sale. It's a really nice looking house. I'd be interested in buying it. Do you have time to sit and talk about it?" And so I just sat and talked to him, just joking, for about an hour. We talked about everything except for the house. He just wanted someone to talk to. He's an old man, and couldn't close the deal on him. But I got it it was going to be like for $400,000 I talked him down to about 300 with owner finance, because he'd make that money back and more. So his bottom line price, he's still getting the 400,000, but the payments are spread out. There's less tax burden, and he can get closer to his asking price. And even though he didn't go through with it, it was just a learning lesson, and just getting used to talking to someone, knowing that there's almost no chance of making this deal happen. There's no pressure. So you just go in and talk. You can take a little more risk. You can ask questions. Since it's really not on the line, I can ask questions that I'd probably be a little more cautious asking for a more competitive deal. And that's where you can kind of learn. It's like going around with training wheels. So even though I didn't close it, it was a good learning lesson.
No, that's awesome, man. So getting out of creative financing, because I could ask you a million questions. Why new construction now?
So I've kind of
I personally love new construction. I don't know if you've heard any episodes or anything. So I love it. I'm pumped that you're trying to get into new construction.
There's some potential for new construction, but around here, there's not a lot of new homes. So a lot of these beat up homes built in the 50s are selling way higher than they should. So people are buying homes with all the money that they can muster up, and some crappy homes. I mean, you're gonna have to do a lot of work for the next 10 or 15 years just to live because everything's gonna fall apart. So I'm like, I think I can come in here and build a house affordable. Obviously, you got to make money, but the most is for the least is one of the terms I like to use. You're getting the most good out of a house for the leastest, meaning, it may not be marble, everything and quartz and all that, but it's a really good house for a good deal of a price. So that's always kind of fascinated me, and I just want to learn more about it. It's more just a learning thing. So that's pretty much it there. It's a learning thing.
Would you want to demo houses, or is there a lot of vacant land? Is there a lot of development land? Are there a lot of codes? I don't know much about Marianna, but I'd be interested to partnering up.
So there's definitely there's not as much I would say the nice vacant land available left, just because one, it's been so affordable and it's already been bought up. Those golden properties are probably not there unless you find something, right place, right time. So
Sure.
Right now, I want to do spec homes first. Find someone who wants a house built for a spec home. It's going to be cheaper than some custom made house, so it's more affordable for the person coming in. They want a spec house built. Maybe make some things custom to what they want since they're buying it to live in. And then, but it's such a streamlined process. It's faster, it's quicker, it's more affordable. So that's kind of the route that I'd want to take starting out, instead of going huge for the big grand thing. Let's get our feet wet in something that's a little more manageable.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what we do. Focus on first time home buyers and being able to, which this tailors right into your business model, having multiple exit strategies in case we want to rent. You might know some people that want to have a new house. They might not be able to afford it right this second. But now you're talking about a whole new opportunity of owner financing where you're in a reverse role and you're creating rentals and allowing someone else to kind of share the wealth. And I think there's a lot of, I would love to pick your brain after the podcast because I love your negotiating tactics and you seem like a super wholesome guy, just from this, 45-minute interaction. Yeah. And I think maybe there's some parcels of land that could be developed if we created a development order in a proper order of operations that we could create affordable housing, especially if we partnered on someone who had a long-term growth plan and could see that for Marianna. And you being a local growing up there, I think that there's an opportunity where we could get a piece of land to develop together and we could help you kind of streamline that process on the new development side. And, we could work together. So now you're learning and you're earning at the same time. But then maybe we could capitalize on the fact that so many people and we could put a really cool creative finance land deal down to help with development costs because a lot of people don't quite understand the cost of development. I'm working with someone that's actually doing a deal with us right now. He got the land for $200,000. He just got the development order and it cost $750. So we were talking about it and it's a great deal. But then when it boils all down, we're buying lots all day for under $50,000. And then now you get a prepped, ready to go lot and you're having to pay $60,000 for it. Like when you break it down for the amount of lots, getting development order, the amount of time it's taking to get utilities prepped, all of things, on-site sanitation, this, that, and the other, roads, FDOT, blah, 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 all the million things, engineering, holding retention ponds. And so when you get through all of that, you're like, well, shoot, was it worth it? But if you had someone that's also committed in an area where we're not big developers, we're not D.R. Horton, we're not Lennar, we have this same vision to help grow small areas. I particularly am partial to Escambia County. I know all the codes. I know everything that we can do to push things forward if we need to. And if I don't know, I at least have someone in this area that I can ask. I feel like you would be that same catalyst in Marianna, and then we could work together because I think your growth potential is just like you're at the bottom of the bell curve, man. You're 12 deals in 2 years is insane.
We're
We're definitely
going to go up.
What we'll do is we'll have Brett show us some properties. We'll have your eye tell them if it's good or not. Then we send Brett in to negotiate another finance.
Right. No, that's exactly what I was saying. That was a lot more direct way of putting it.
We want a 60-month balloon at the end of all it, dude.
Yeah, exactly. That was a more direct way of putting it. But in the interim, like, there's a lot of synergy, a lot of fun things. I think what you're doing is super awesome. I'm still shocked that you're finding these deals and you're getting owner finances on the MLS. Like, we kind of are still breezing over that. I still have like 50 more questions that aren't really on our key of questions, but it's still blowing my mind that you're getting deals on the MLS and you're getting creative financing. I think that's the coolest thing ever. But since you were interested in new construction, I thought just having this live right here, we can go back to it. Some of the listeners can catch up with us. And a lot of the listeners, they keep us pretty honest. They're like, hey, you mentioned X project, like 10 podcasts ago. Where are you on it? And we'll either say, hey, it went here or here, And so I am looking back to circling into like minute 40 to 45 and seeing this 120 days out.
Bill and I
and seeing where it's at
that Mariana Chick-fil-A and have a business meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is booming. They didn't.
That's the only restaurant I know of from the interstate as I drive by.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cabins too.
I thought about you guys because we had talked about, me and Sam before, about knocking houses over and building might be better than just fixing it up and renting it. Actually, one of my connections in Pensacola, a guy who owns a bunch of convenience stores and smoke shops, I was talking to him one day because I told him, I admired how he was doing his stores and stuff like this, was really undercover real estate business. And I told him I was doing the same thing with my gyms. So he just sat there for, 45 minutes telling me what all he does and how he does it. Just sharing all the wisdom he knows in 30, 40 minutes just onto me.
Man, one thing I want to highlight because I actually clued into this a couple of years ago, and you just kind of nailed it. Is that if you own a business and you lease your space, your business has to do really, really well. If you own a business and you own the real estate, I'm not saying you don't want the business to do really well, but you now got another way to get paid off that single business. Exactly. Because if the business just say breaks even, but it's being able to pay everything down, well, you can go borrow off the real estate and the business can keep paying that. And if the business breaks even, but you get to take a loan against your real estate every 5 or 6 years, well, you're not paying any taxes. So there's like a lot of beauty, to it. So no, I think that's great. I want to get a little bit over into you're competitive CrossFit athlete. You competed in the United Grid League. How has fitness shaped your success in business?
I think it's something that's been always kind of part of what I do. When I was playing baseball, I thought I was going to be a baseball player, professional. That was my thing. I just knew it was going to happen. Well, probably my senior year, I think it was what it was. Found out I had scoliosis because I had a lot of back issues pitching out of nowhere. So that kind of just shot that down. It was a no-go. Chiropractor said, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. So I started doing CrossFit. I had to do something competitive. Had to train. We didn't have a lot of weights and stuff at the high school I went to. There was like no weightlifting. So I was like, now I get to do something like this. I have the freedom. I'm going to jump into this thing here. And some of the guys in the sport, like Rich Froning and a lot of the guys at the top at the time I started, I really felt like I connected with. So I was like, oh, well, these are guys that are similar to me, obviously way fitter, way stronger. But just the morals, the values, and the outlook, I had a strong connection with. And then, a lot of what they do in the sport, as far as training, how they view things. Like one of my favorite words is virtuosity, is doing the common uncommonly well. And it sounds pretty simple at first, but doing the common uncommonly well. And that's pulled from gymnastics. And you see how they move in gymnastics. They just look effortless. They make the uncommon look common. And I've transferred all that into other things that I do. How can I make these common things? How can I be uncommonly good at these regular things? And then you stack those wins over time, and it makes a huge difference over time. So from starting doing CrossFit in my barn with equipment that I built, equipment from a recycle place in the clay, had to sand down and paint. Pull-up bar was a forklift and a pallet rack, stuff like that, to competing in the United Grid League against like Olympians like Wes Kitts, former CrossFit Games athletes on a national or international level. It's pretty amazing. You can be a normal, regular, hey, I'm just a guy, and really push yourself consistently to being on a huge stage. And it's possible for anyone to do it. So that's probably transferred to everything else I do. That's just how I do things.
I love that. I love that mindset. And then I know you're also grounded in your Christian faith. How does that influence your decisions in business and in life?
So one popular book like Proverbs and one Ecclesiastes is, all these things that we do are vain, which people may or may not, think that way. But none of this stuff really, really matters in the day. So from a Christian standpoint, the eternal things are what matters. And then Solomon wrote about a lot of, and even Jesus talked about investing for the future, building something for your kids and your grandkids. That way it lives on forever. That way they're taken care of. But understanding, this stuff doesn't matter. So at the end of the day, if I'm trying to make a deal and I just have to have it like I'm seething at the deal, I have to get it done, I'm probably being greedy and I need to check myself. And at the end of the day, it's not about me. What's the purpose of this? If it's just to get rich, I'm in the wrong thing. I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. If it's so, for the glory of God, is it for the glory of my family? I've got to be able to take care of my family. Now, obviously I'm single, but my thinking ahead for my family to come, I want to be able to take care of them and, give them the best quality of life, and then their kids the best quality of life. And that starts with investing and thinking ahead.
Dude, I love it. If someone was to get started today, what's the best piece of advice you'd give them?
Find the best in the business and get a mentor. That's the very first step. You can read until you die, but find a mentor, and probably will have to pay for one. Find someone in your town, 3 people, find 3 people, and, be around them, develop a relationship. You got to care, but find a mentor, someone who's done it, someone who's a pro, who knows what they're doing, and then learn as much as you can.
Awesome.
And that would be the very first step. Find someone who's been there. The books are great, but it's hard. It's really hard to start from just a book. It can teach you all this, like all the stuff I've told you today. I've learned all that stuff from books, but that never helped me take action. Find a mentor that can help you go from 0 to 1.
Love it.
No, that's great, man. And dude, this show has been awesome. I think Will and I are going to be talking about that 60-month balloon for the next month, probably in our side conversation.
Sounds like we've wasted a month if we're doing it. We'd only have 59 left. We got to do a deal today.
Exactly. Got to do a deal today. To make this thing to make this show, you got to do a deal today.
Got to do a deal today.
Yeah,
right? Get action. Get a mentor. Make it happen, man. I love it.
If people want to connect with you or follow you on your journey, where's the best place to follow you and connect with you?
Facebook's a really good place to follow me. Brett Henry is my name. And then Brett Henry _06, which is my baseball number and my grid number. You'll see, Brett Henry _06. That's another great place to get a hold of me, or just see, sometimes I'll post updates on what's going on. So those are 2 good places to reach out. Website.
What about your gym?
Wolfden Athletics.
Okay.
Wolfden Athletics is the name of the gym.
And do you have a website or Facebook or anything?
Yeah, so my website for the gym, wolfdenathletics.fit.
Okay.
For the real estate, working on a website now. So I'm working on designing one now. I don't have a website yet, but I really think that would help. So
I do, man. Look, we're gonna have you on a year from now when you're up to 25 properties, and we'll have that you'll have that website ready to rip.
Cooking, yeah. I really appreciate it. Speaking of cooking, just want to give a big shout out. I had 2 Clean Eats meals today. If you guys have not tried it, or you haven't been in a while, or you keep forgetting to make your orders, make sure you place your order. Clean Eats, download the app, check it out online, or check out Mobile, Pensacola, Shalimar, or Tallahassee. They are the ones that allow us to do the show in and out each week. If you need building materials, if you're renovating houses, building new, doing new construction, check out dbmlumber.com. That's Dufresne Building Materials. Give me a call. You can always go to our website directly, and then you can just put @William. I'll get you taken care of. Specialty order items. We got a ton of things. We got 12 different yards. So other than that, Sam, tell them where they can find out more about us.
Yeah, so you can go to the eliterealestatepodcast.com. Again, you feel free to shoot us any messages on there. If you are a real estate investor and would like to be on our show, feel free to go to eliterealestatepodcast.com, scroll down the bottom and send us a message. That's also a great place if you want to bring us a lead on any kind of property in Escambia County. That's really where Will and I focus all of our interest in what we build in Escambia County. I am also always looking for large commercial deals off market. So if anyone has the big commercial leads, feel free to bring them to that website as well. And come check us out on YouTube, and please hit that subscribe button, the Elite Real Estate Podcast on YouTube. I think that's it.
I think that's it. I appreciate it. Dude,
Man,
thanks for being on.
Dude, appreciate you coming on again. Definitely love these owner finance stories. Love how you just showed people to take action. So one of the things I want to reiterate, he got up to 12 properties in a under 4-year period. He had to get about 75 no's for every yes. So that's over. I'm not let's see. That's 750 plus that is about 900 no's he got to get those 12 yeses. So I think that's something for everyone listening. You just got to take action, and you got to ask. And one of the things I'm taking away from this show personally is just ask, because sometimes people will say yes, even if it's something that you wouldn't say yes to. Make no assumptions based on your own thoughts and beliefs, because other people have their thoughts and beliefs.
Rule 272: we never assume. Get the facts.
272. Where are these rules? Where can I find these rules at?
It's between me and a friend of mine, mentor Rob Elliott.
They'll be on the website.
I'll flash his name out here in case he ever sees it.
I got you.
We have these rules back and forth, so we'll text you at like 4 a.m. Like I'll text him when I'm getting up, like burning daylight, and then
daylight.
I've been up for 20 minutes, whatever. But he'll give me these rules. Like no one cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And we always add just a random number to it, something we just thought of or learned for the day. Like here's rule number 77, and whatever, is the lesson for that day, capacity or whatever. So
yeah, I love it, dude. I love it.
Maybe one day it'll be a book. We'll see.
Definitely. Well, man, we'll definitely have to reconnect soon. We'll definitely have to have a conversation offline, and we'll have to figure out how we can work with you in Marianna, because it sounds like you got a lot going on, and we would love to work with you on a new market, help you expand. So
yeah, we'll be in touch for sure. I'm looking forward to it. So
definitely,
I'm looking forward to that day.
Awesome.
Yeah, dude. Cool.
Well,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody tuning in, listening to us on the Elite Real Estate Podcast. Go follow our friend Brett to check out his deals. He's definitely going to be crushing it in the real estate game. But thank you, everyone, for listening, and we'll see y'all next week.